Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments, such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
Boise State Public Radio News celebrates the Winter Olympiad in Milan Cortina. There are 232 U.S. Olympians this year competing in 116 events across 16 different sports. NPR is covering the games in Italy and giving context to the world event now through February 22nd. Learn more about what's new this year and follow Team USA with NPR's 2026 Winter Olympics coverage at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Samantha Ryan filling in for Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. On Sunday, the more than 120,000 Idahoans who use SNAP will have to change the way they buy groceries. That's because of a new law in Idaho that says food stamps can't be used for candy or soda. And it's not just a change for SNAP users. Depending on who's counting, there are 468 supermarkets and grocery stores in Idaho and close to 1,200 convenience stores, and many retailers don't like the new ban. So what led up to this point, and what will happen on February 15th? Here to tell us more is Laura Guido with the Idaho Capital Sun. Laura, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Okay, so what does the law do?
Right, so it was passed last year, House Bill 109, and it pretty much prohibits the use of SNAP food assistance to buy candy or soda.
And who will this affect? How many people are actually on SNAP in Idaho?
As of last month, just over 124,000 people in Idaho were using it, and that's individuals, which some of those individuals can be in the same household. A lot of them are children. And it affects anyone who accepts SNAP. That can be grocery stores, convenience stores, some farmers market vendors, pretty much anyone who lets people use what are called EBT cards.
And that's a lot of stores. Could be up to 1,500 stores, again, depending on where you get your numbers. So how are those stores preparing for this change? That's got to be a big deal.
Yeah, so retailers are... they have to program their systems to identify SNAP eligible items. The EBT cards, don't automatically reject something that's ineligible. And I talked to, I asked Pam Eaton, she's the president and CEO of the Idaho Retailers Association, how that preparation has been going. And she said the Department of Health and Welfare has been collaborating well with retailers on preparing them. She said, the association does wish there was a clear list of products, but she also kind of understands why there isn't. But she is hoping for further clarification on definitions this legislative session, although at this point I have not seen any bills surface on that issue.
Well, and I know retailers have said, that it's hard to regulate, and I want to talk about why it's hard to define candy. I mean, isn't candy a candy bar? I'm looking at... I won't say the name, but if you know the commercials, it's when you get hangry, you get one of these candy bars. How do I know if this is something that you can buy with SNAP or not? What's the definition?
Yeah, so when this came up last year, definitions were kind of the major point of debate. And in the bill, the final version of the bill, it says candy is a preparation of sugar, honey, or other natural or artificial sweeteners in combination with chocolate, fruits, nuts, or other ingredients or flavorings in the form of bars, drops, or pieces. It doesn't include anything that has flour, and that can be wheat flour, oat flour, alternative flours, and nothing that requires refrigeration. So ice cream, theoretically, is fine.
Interesting. Okay, so what about soda? I'm holding in my hand the Journalist's Lunch. It's a very popular soda. We'll call it Soda Zero, so you know what that is. And it doesn't have any sugar in it. So what about soda? What's the definition for soda? Is this covered? I mean, it doesn't have sugar.
That would probably still not be allowed. They define soda as any non-alcoholic beverage that contains natural or artificial sweeteners. So if it's sweetened at all, it's not allowed. But there's exemptions. You could still buy juices. Anything that's more than 50% vegetable or fruit juice is fine, and anything that requires kind of preparation before consumption, so like a powder or concentrate that you mix with something else.
So I grabbed onto that one. I saw that in your story because the Sun reported that about powders or concentrates. So if I read that right, and again, I don't know, could that mean that Kool-Aid, which is a powder, and you prepare it, could therefore be bought with Snap, whereas my Soda Zero can't? And I'm just getting nitpicky here because I think this kind of represents how hard it is to try and regulate this.
Yeah, I mean, that's my reading of it too. Kool-Aid would be fine. That you have to prepare it beforehand, and that was kind of the main argument that retailers made was like, look, this is these are broad definitions, and it's kind of getting hard. You know, does a granola bar count as candy? It might if it's nuts and honey and fruit in a bar. So it's tough to say at this point how that's going to go.
Yeah, I'm holding a granola bar and I'm trying to figure out if it's gonna cover. So the law was passed last year by the legislature, but the federal government had to get involved, right? Why are they part of the process?
Yeah, so SNAP is a mostly federally funded program. It's run by the Department of Agriculture, and states can kind of run it their own unique way, but they do have to ask permission from the federal government to make changes. So the bill that passed last year directed the health agency to ask the Department of Agriculture, like, hey, can we make this change? And they received permission.
Ah, okay. And I also read in some of your stories, we'll link back to some of these, by the way, on our website, that there are folks who are against the law besides retailers. Senator Melissa Wintrow said this was an attempt to try to control poor people.
Yeah, it passed pretty narrowly. So I think all the Democrats, including Senator Wintrow, voted against it. But there were also some Republicans who were against it, who just weren't sure about the definitions and if it was feasible to enforce this. Wintrow did say she felt like it was government micromanaging kind of a small population of people and just didn't really seem. She said it didn't feel like it got to the heart of maybe health issues that our nation is facing. Other Republicans were also worried about kind of the effect on small grocers and retailers that have to adjust to these changes.
We're speaking with Laura Guido with the Idaho Capital Sun about the new ban on using SNAP benefits to buy candy or soda. You also wrote about another change to SNAP that's coming up in April, and it's connected to President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. Can you tell us about work requirements?
Yeah, so right now, a lot of adults who are on SNAP are already subject to work requirements, but and especially if they are in the category of able-bodied adult without dependents. But there's some exceptions to those, and the exceptions are kind of what are going to be changing in April. Right now, if you're an able-bodied adult, you have to work at least 80 hours a month. That can be volunteering, a work program, a combination of the two. But there's some exceptions for those who are pregnant, have physical or mental limitations, veterans, those experiencing homelessness, young adults who are aging out of foster care, and the changes around some of those exceptions.
Gotcha. And that includes Native Americans, tribal members, and I noticed this one, people aged 55 or older, that exemption is going away. There's a new age limit on the work requirements?
Yeah, so right now, those kind of expanded work requirements apply to people 18 to 54, and then that age is going up to 64. So yeah, folks in that gap who were not subject to them will be when this goes into effect in April.
We'll need to work 80 hours to keep getting the benefits. Okay.
And the exceptions for veterans, those experiencing homelessness, and then the young people aging out of foster care, those are all going away as well.
So the new work requirements happen in April, but the candy and soda ban starts this Sunday. Other states have already banned candy, correct?
Yeah, there's around 18 other states that have done similar changes, although some of them have only banned soda, maybe some have only banned candy. Everyone kind of has little nuances to their own law, but yeah, the first of these were Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska, Utah, and West Virginia. They kind of got the first go ahead, but a large group of states kind of all asked to do this around the same time.
So what happens on Sunday if you're at the checkout and you try to buy candy or soda with your SNAP card? Does it just not work?
According to the Department of Health and Welfare, it shouldn't work. I mean, right now, you can't use EBT cards to buy tobacco or alcohol or non-food items or things like dog food, but this should work about the same way.
All right. Laura, thank you. Complicated issue, but one that's going to hit a lot of people coming up this weekend.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We've been speaking with Laura Guido with the Idaho Capital Sun about the new ban on using SNAP benefits to buy candy or soda. We're going to put a guide to the new definitions of candy and soda on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org.
This is the Idaho Matters podcast. I'm Gemma Gaudette.
Hi, it's Terry Gross, host of Fresh Air. Hey, take a break from the 24-hour news cycle with us and listen to long-form interviews with your favorite authors, actors, filmmakers, comedians, and musicians, the people making the art that nourishes us and speaks to our times. So listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.